Andarki namaskaram, welcome back to Vamsi Bhavani. Welcome to the part 8 of 10 parts prompt engineering. Right? Great. So if you remember, we told that if a specific LLM does not have access to your internal data, right, you can actually provide that data along with what? Along with your prompt in the question. Sorry, along with the question in the prompt. Along with the question in the prompt, right? And we said that as what? Out of date learning, right? So basically, out of date learning is used when the user is a non-tech guy. So this solution is a non-technical solution. Make sense? But let's say you are integrating GPT APIs, OpenAI APIs into your chatbot and asking chatbot to respond. So in that case, that becomes a technical solution, right? So you are integrating with APIs, right? Again, I told about what API based usage and UI based usage is in the earlier parts. So watch them if you haven't yet. Now, when it comes to this technical approach, you wouldn't use out of date learning. Instead, you would use a different technique called RAG. What is that? It's retrieved augmented generation. Retrieval augmented generation. I guess, yeah. I mean, you can pronounce it the way you want, but I think it's retrieval to be correct. Retrieval. A stands for augmented and G stands for generation. Let's discuss word by word. What does generation mean? Obviously to generate something, and all our LLMs are actually generative AI models. So obviously it would generate some response. That's what this generation also means. What does augmented mean? Augmented is to add something on top of something. Like what is AR? What is augmented reality? Augmented reality is you have your own reality, when you use that Pokemon game, Pokemon Go, I think, right? So when you play that game, you have your real environment. Let's say this is your real environment. You have a tree, you have you have grass, you have house. So on top of this, you'll augment a Pokemon. So this is a Pokemon, right? So augmenting is to add something on top of something, right? What is retrieval? Retrieval means to fetch, to get something, right? That's why we call fetching operation from a DB as DB retrieval, right? So retrieval is to fetch, right? Augmented is to add something on top of something. Generation is to generate, right? When you understand these three words individually, the technique will actually make more sense to you. That's the reason I'm trying to explain these words. It's not an English lecture, but yeah, and I am not an English lecturer as well, but I'm trying to explain that just because it will make things clear to you. Firstly, let's understand how a training is done to an actual LLM. Let's say there's an LLM. How do you train this LLM with? Let's say you have data. Okay, you have data, you have LLM. You want to train LLM on this data. What do? Do you input the complete data at once and say, okay, learn from this? No, right? What happens is this data is actually divided, right? Divided into chunks and then embeddings, and that's when it's trained upon. Got it? Like, to be very minimalistic, what does chatgpt do? What does your LLM do? When you say what is the capital of India, what does it do? Basically, this particular line again, let's divide it into tokens, right? The token capital of India might be present in multiple embeddings of its training dataset, right? So what an LLM actually does is it just produces sequence of characters or sequence of tokens, to be precise, right? Sequence of tokens that probably would be more appropriate to come after this line. That's it. Got it? So generative AI LLM models just predict the upcoming sequence of tokens. That's it. Got it? Great. So similarly, if you want to train your LLM on internal data, you again provide it with a similar, format. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. See, what you actually do is, first of all, when you are talking about training LLM, or getting it trained on your internal data, not even training, you just give it in the prompt. Let's say, what do? First of all, you'll have to decide the source of this internal data, right? Data source is the first step. Then you'll have to index that data, then querying operation, and finally ranking, right? And that's how you get the required embeddings, tokens. Let's not go into that, vectors and tokens, but you get the required. The reason I'm not going into that is I don't want to make this over technical. I want this course to be equally understood by technical and non-technical folks. So what I'm trying to do is fix the data source, index it, query it, and rank it to form it into the way that LLM could be trained upon, or simply be provided with the prompt, right? This complete process is the retrieval process, right? So you actually retrieving the required format of data from the data source, and then augmentation is just adding this retrieved information with your prompt. So prompt plus this info, right? So you're adding this on top of something that's your existing prompt. So this is your augmentation step, and generation is obviously taken care by the LLM. That's it. That's RAG for you, right? So basically what you would do is, you'll give the user question, then you'll give context or additional information, right? This is the question given by the user, so it's straight away. This additional information is retrieved from the retrieval process, and given that you're adding this to the user question, user prompt, it's augmentation, and then you use this complete one as the new prompt and generate the response. That's RAG for you. I have tried to make it as non-technical as possible, but yeah, I hope you understand that, right? So yeah, in this video we discussed about RAG theoretically. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.